Welcome back to the Who's Right podcast and who's excited. JDM kind of put us in the mood that got us over the top, and we're grateful for JDM to kind of come through in the end and get us to a series win. We were hoping for the sweep, but we did get the series win, and so before we get started, hey guys, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and give us your comments. Let us know how you're feeling, how you're thinking, what do you think? And Victor, how you doing?
I really don't know how to feel right now because you come off that game ready to rant because you just dropped 2 out of 3 to the Miami Marlins, played atrocious baseball all series. Because even in game 2 we had our defensive errors, and we'll get to that. But we can't really say we beat the Miami Marlins because a lot of the times it seemed like they handed us the game, right? And so I don't know if I have optimism towards the end of the rest of the year. I still kind of, in fact, I feel like this series has really put me more on your side and saying maybe we should start selling off these pieces and seeing what we get in return and letting these young guys fight for a playoff spot because to walk off the Miami Marlins and be happy about that doesn't sit right with me.
No, man, you gotta take the wins when you can get them. Look, you gotta feel good when you can, because this season has brought a lot of lows, and so we'll take the wins as when we can get them. At the end of the day, we do want our teams to do well. We want them to win, and so let's keep it going. I'd rather win than rather win and sell at the same time than lose and sell. So I wouldn't mind being strategic. But before we get into all that, let's break down the series. On Monday, um, our bats let us down. Let's JDM save the series, save the season. Yuki's hey, what's going on, Yuki? Glad you're here. But on Monday, we had a decent outing, not a great outing by McGill, but a decent outing, and we didn't hit Luzardo. Luzardo looked hittable, and our bats stayed quiet. 1 through 3, between Lindor, Alonso, and Nimmo went 0 for 12 that game. And so, it's something that, we saw some shakeup of the lineup. But it's kind of been the story of the season, right? We continue to shake this lineup. And, at the end of the day, they got to do better. And they shook up the lineup, but this game was the story of our bats not producing.
Yeah, and Tyler McGill, he got the loss there because he wasn't able to go long. He got himself into some trouble, and perhaps if he pitched a little better towards the end of that game, it would be a different story. But he got himself in a jam in that 5th inning, and it cost him. And but this was the game where we saw Daniel Nunez step up and pitch 2 1/3, and really give that the Mets bullpen some relief by being able to go that long. And we talked about it before. When you have starters that aren't able to go 5 innings, then it's really going to be up to your. Oh, sorry, I'm getting my games mixed up. Daniel Nunez pitched game 2, but when you don't have your starters in either of these games being able to pitch long, then it exhausts your bullpen, and has Daniel Nunez pitching 2 1/3 and getting exhausted like that in the game following. But it really felt like, man, like you said, we should have tacked on in this game because we had Luzardo up against the ropes. Where in that 2nd inning, when Mark Vientos hits that double, that was with no outs, and we could have had a big inning there, but we didn't, and we weren't able to tack on. But you were hoping that because of that, because it happened so early, that you were able to get his pitch count up. But after that, Luzardo started to settle down. We got to see a little bit more of why he's such a good pitcher. But he didn't have his stuff, and it was frustrating to not be able to hit him this game. But in the end, this just happens. It's baseball. Miami Marlins are going to get a win every now and then, and it just stinks when we're in a push for a playoff run that this happened to us. But what can we say? We took 2 out of 3 from them, so that's enough said about that first game.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. Again, we'll finish it off. Our bats didn't do the job, and but we saw them half wake up in game two. Right in game two, our offense came alive a little bit. Unfortunately, Peterson again didn't go long, and we have Daniel Nunez in this game go 2 1/3, get that standing ovation from the crowd. He talked about it afterwards, and him being treated like a veteran because he said he's heard that many times for other people doing many things, and he got it in just his brief moment with us, and it was a big thing, because I think he kept the game together when Peterson couldn't continue, and so, I call it the Daniel Nunez game. Our bats did their job, but they also we were given a lot of those runs by by the Miami defense. But we'll take it.
Yeah.
It's all those things are valid. All those things happen, and we'll take wins like that any day of the week.
Yeah, we got to see just how bad the Marlins defense were and how down bad they are, because they had a few plays that really just gifted us some runs, and even one that ended an inning. I think it was the fourth inning where you have their second baseman, Otto Lopez, um, tag up on the base and then throw to second, which made Gary really mad because he was like, "Man, it could have gotten someone hurt," and it was just weird to see Gary get so riled up over a play like that. But that's just one of those defensive errors where you're like, "Man, these Marlins really are not the greatest." And you had Jazz Chisholm make a Marte-esque play in this game where he just didn't get a good read on the ball, and he went after it and let it bounce, and ultimately it led to a run. But we also forgot to mention that, and I think it's more because Francisco Alvarez didn't do much in game one, but he got to get back on track in this game. He got an RBI. He was able to get a couple of hits, or he had one hit and an RBI, and it was nice to see him back in the lineup. I think he enjoyed being back. You could tell that he missed the atmosphere. He missed being back in that crowd. He's just one of those guys, those young guys that you feel like is going to really thrive once he puts it all together in the major leagues, especially in New York. Him and Vientos both have that charisma to them that you love to see. But on another note, we didn't see Brandon Nimmo in this game, which was, I thought, a great move by Mendoza. There were a lot of talks about how he needed to be benched, how he needed some time off because he needed to get his head right, and some things needed to change up. And that happened. Bader was in the 2-hole, and he thrived in the 2-hole, going 2 for 5 with the home run, driving in Lindor in that first home run. And we got to see later that Nimmo would eventually take over that role and get a hit and score a run himself. Or he didn't get a hit this game, but he was able to score a run himself in game 3. So I kind of like the new lineup configuration. Obviously, Alonso's not hitting third anymore. He's hitting fourth, which might be better for him. He seems to do well in that role. And if this is where the Mets can fire on all cylinders, obviously it didn't translate in game 3. We were still able to get the win, but it didn't translate as much as we wanted to. But I liked how the lineup was constructed in game 2. And I liked how everyone was just hitting in motion, especially Marte. when Marte is lacking in the glove, he's got it with the bat, and he's been hot lately. So it's been awesome to see.
Yeah, no, for sure. It was kind of a strange lineup. I didn't, when I saw it yesterday, seeing Bader up there, I was like, it's kind of strange seeing him up there. But then seeing the lineup today, now I know what they were thinking, what they were trying to do, because they just swapped Bader and Nimmo in the game today. We'll see. At the end of the day, you know, um, the lineup at um, is really only important the first go around, right? After the first go around, it's just the next man up in the lineup. So I don't put a lot of stock into um, the rest of the order. I do put a lot of stock on who's leading off because I do think that they can, give you momentum going into the beginning of the game, and how they interact with the bottom of the lineup. But as far as Pete moving from second to fourth to third, or Nimmo moving from third to second to lead off. I don't put a lot of stock into all that, just because some of the things that we're seeing um, are happening. But before we get into that, let's get into Game 3. Yeah, because it's a quick game. Not much happened, right? Until to the last game. We get another good start out of Severino, 6 innings, 1 run, so quality start out of Severino, and he's continuing to build on the season that he's been having all year long, and the other thing to talk about in this game is JDM, because you had a big, um, Lindor getting on base in the ninth, and JDM brought him home with that walk off, a much needed win, and we got to see Edwin Diaz break 101. And so maybe this whole thing about him struggling all year was something that he was dealing with, and he was trying to work through or didn't know he had until he went on the IL. So a lot of things to be optimistic about in this game, I think.
Oh, he's back, baby. Oh, Edwin Diaz is back being our closer. He got the win today too, and he's got to be feeling great about that. This is what he needed, right? This is exactly the start that he needed. Being back from injury, being able to get right in there, get the opportunity to win them the game in the ninth, in a game that they're down by one. So you know that there's no room for error there, and he did exactly what he needed to do. Obviously, he didn't have the strikeout rate that he probably wanted and the one that we were used to seeing in 2022, but he still got some ground ball outs. He was able to strike out one, and he got those first inning or that first pitch jittered out the way when he threw it to the backstop. But after that, he was able to settle down, get his stuff down. And man, if Edwin Diaz is right, that solves so many problems for our bullpen, because we don't have to look for a ninth inning relief guy, a high leverage guy late into the innings. We can even use him in non safe situations if that's the case too. It just solves so many problems where you're not putting so much pressure on these guys that have never done it before. And if Edwin Diaz is back, man, this team looks so much better with him in it. And it sucks that it was at the cost of Danny Young because he pitched so great. I do think he'll be back this season. But it was a political move. We have to see what we have with these veteran guys. We got to see what we have with Adam Ottavino. We got to see what we have with Jake Diekman. Give them the chance to continue to do what they do, or what they've shown that they can do, and that's pitch well. And so let's hope that they can get it back. But Edwin Diaz was a great sign to see in this game. And man, JD Martinez, he just keeps on getting his stock up. I really can't believe that was his first walk-off home run. That is ridiculous to me. And in his major league career, he's never had a walk-off home run. That is crazy. And for him to be able to come through for the Mets there, and have that moment for him. he was talking about how he didn't know how to react because he's never been in that situation as a 36-year-old man. That's a crazy thing to say with his 300 plus home runs in his career. He's never, but you know, on the less excited note, because obviously we're all riled up. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, man, it would have been so disappointing if we would have come out of here with the loss. And to see that we only had 3 hits in this game, 2 of them coming from JD Martinez. We've talked about our concerns with JD Martinez and how he's been a problem, but he came through with two hits today. But for for Francisco Lindor to have the only other no, who had the Harrison Bader was the only other person to have that hit in this game is not good, guys. Like, I understand we're walking and stuff, but we got to do better. We talked about finally having this roster construction in a way that we feel like it can benefit the team, but if we're not being able to hit the ball and get on base, then we're not going to see the fruits of this lineup construction. So let's just hope that it was just this one game. But when you got a guy like Munoz who is really a nobody, like I don't know if we've ever talked about him ever on the show besides this start. Um, you know, and the rest of the bullpen, they don't have a great bullpen. Being able to really blank us like that is kind of, I don't want to say embarrassing, but it's a little embarrassing. And so let's hope that with the hot Padres team, they have much better pitching. And so let's hope that these problems are solved. We've seen the Mets be able to hit in the future in big spots. Being able to put a 10 spot in the series is good. And we've been able to score over 5 runs these past couple of games. Like I said, I hope that it's not needed every time out. Luckily, it wasn't needed this time out, but man, it would have felt good to tack on the runs on this last game of this series.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna take the wins. I'm a go a different route. I'm just happy to get the win. And just we can continue that momentum, right? The story of the season has been the best, but we got the W today, and so I'm gonna celebrate. I'm gonna enjoy it. I'm gonna sleep well tonight. I'm not too worried about it for tonight because I'm gonna go to bed happy that JDM came through. And so talking about JDM, I think that he's our Met standout of the series. We think that he's a guy that kind of was a catalyst a lot in this series, and especially in the last game because he walked it off. So JDM is our Mets player of the series. But it wouldn't be a Who's Right podcast without talking about some concerns. And my first concern would be, I know he didn't play yesterday. He got the day off, but Brandon Nimmo's starting to concern me, and it's not because he's not hitting, it's because he's striking out. That's the concern that's bothering me. He's even, I forget the one game, but he even was running the first base on a clear strike down the middle, or it's in the strike zone, thinking that he was going to walk. And I don't know what's going on. I don't know why he's not seeing the ball well, because that's his MO, is seeing the ball well. And so I'm a little concerned with Brandon Nimmo right now on just what's going on.
Yeah, you read my mind too. Like that's obviously a concern of ours, especially because he is a core member of this group. He's one of the leaders of the team, and the rest of the guys will tell you just as much. And he is a leader, just like Francisco Lindor, who leads more by example. And so uh, he needs to get right to be able to do that. And let's just hope that he can get out of this funk because it's not been good for him to be striking out at the rate that is out. And that is the concern, is the strikeout rate. And a part of me kind of hopes that not hopes, but kind of thinks that if he's moving, if he moves further down in the lineup, kind of like what happened to Marte, where he moves into that 5 or 6 hole. Uh, it can solve a lot of problems for the team, but also for him just to know that the pressure is off him a little bit. Just figure out on getting your stuff right. You're not hitting the top 4 or the top 3 even, and you don't have to hit the ball, or there's not so much pressure on you. And put a guy like Vientos up in that 2 hole because he's been hot and he's been hitting the ball consistently well, and he's shown that he's he's been able to come up in big spots. And so I don't know if that's the solution. I don't know what it is, but we know that Nimmo's here for a while, right? And we want to see him succeed. He's the longest tenured Met on this team, and I would hate to see him leave. But obviously, that's one part of the game. Another concern of mine is the starting pitching. The starting pitching, again and again, we sound like a broken record, has not been the same. And I don't know well, it hasn't been right all year. I can't even say the same. But when you have Tyler McGill only go 4 plus or 4 and 2/3, and then David Peterson give you 5 innings or something like that. That's not a good look. And even I know that he had a decent outing. I wouldn't say it's a great outing, but Severino only being able to go 6 innings, that's a quality start, obviously. But from Severino, we're from our ace is what he really is. We expect 7, 8 innings, and six innings for our ace isn't going to cut it a lot of the time when you have guys. Your other guys only go 4 and 2/3 and 5 innings, and so that continues to be a concern of mine because it taxes the bullpen so much more than it needs to be, and it gives us less and less options as we go down the line. Because who knows when Daniel Nunez will be back to be able to pitch? He pitched 2 1/3, and I don't think he's going to be ready by tomorrow unless they want to overwork him. But yeah, so that gives us less and less arms each day that these pitchers aren't able to go long.
Yeah, well, as far as the pitching, I do. My concern is, it's always been with those two guys. That's actually been a theme with McGill and Peterson not going deep. And that is a concern with Severino. I'm not going to call him the ace because he's not our ace. So I'm not going to call him the ace, and so I'm not going to put that ace level expectation on him either. I'm not going to, 6 innings is perfectly fine for me. Every once in a while, give me 7, but at the minimum 6 innings from Severino. That's great on my part. Whether he pitches, continues to pitch the way he is. I'm still not going to call him the ace just because one, he's on a 1-year deal, and two, and he might not be here next year, so there no expectations on him being our ace, but we do need to get more production out of McGill and Peterson, because those are guys that you know are going to be guys that we are hoping to have in the rotation in the future. And so, in order for them to stay in our rotation for the future, they got to stay longer in the games. I know McGill's stuff looked good until he got in trouble, but we need to get him to keep his stuff looking good for at least another inning and a half. so, so
Yeah, I mean, but I understand Severino's not here. Well, he could be here long term. We'll see how that plays out in the rest of the season because it could go 2 ways, where we trade him or we extend him, and I hope that we extend him more. But more for this year, I think he's our ace because look at the rest of our rotation. Who else is our ace? And I don't think there's another guy that's stepped up into that role. Severino, I think, is the guy that's been an ace on the team before, and I think he can do it again. Obviously, that might change when Christian Scott comes back or when Kodai Senga comes back from injury. But right now he's the guy that we need to rely on for to be the best guy out, or we can rely on to give us quality starts every time out. And he did give us a quality start this time. And this is not me ragging on him, but this is just me putting so much more expectation on a guy like Severino. But my question to you is like if he's not it, then who is?
Well, he's on the IL right now. Senga's gonna be the ace, and when he comes back, and Senga is our ace right now on the roster. I can't give somebody who or one who is a high upside guy. That's why we signed Severino for a season like he's having. But it wasn't something that you know, if he didn't have the season that he's having, that we would have batted an eye on. So putting that ace level expectation on a guy like that, one isn't is gonna just lead us into disappointment when he doesn't do well, and two, put that expectation on a guy that we signed as a high upside guy, and it's a 1 year deal, like you said. We are most likely going to be trading him in the trade deadline, so it's not somebody that. So at the end of the day, my guy for as an ace, even though he's on the IL, is still Senga. We just don't have one on the rotation right now as far as an ace. And so that was the whole thing why Quintana was our opening day starter. Usually the ace opens the 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 season, and we just didn't have one. And so that's the prime example of we just don't have we just didn't have an ace in the rotation. We don't have an ace in the rotation until Senga gets back.
Whatever terminology you want to use, Severino is our best pitcher right now, and I think no matter what you say, he has ace potential. He's been in that position before where he's been an ace, and so this can be a discussion later on in the year when we see the Mets contend for playoffs. Is who's going to be playoff series game one starter? And I think that there could be a rightful argument for Severino to be that game one starter. And but we want to see him continue to pitch like he has and continue to give us longevity in the rotation. And at least for me, he's always that guy I look to and always say, oh, that's a good quality start. I don't think that's going to cause us too much stress in these games. And so for me, that's my guy. I've already. I sound like I don't mean to beat a dead horse, but I want to see him back next year. Hopefully, if things go the Mets' way and we're contending for playoffs, we sign him to a longer term deal. 3 or 4 years, so that we can solidify our rotation in a year that we're not going to have a lot of starting pitching. And so I think this is a great tryout year for Severino. I know that he has injuries that he's had in his past, but let's hope that all that's behind him and that he can uh, go forward being the star pitcher that he once was.
Yeah, no, and whether we have him next year or not, I have no idea because I still think he's going to be traded, regardless. But you guys, let us know what you're thinking. Who do you want to see Severino back? Do you think he's the ace of the squad right now? Would you call him as ace, or would you just say we don't have an ace? Let us know what you guys are thinking. Uh, but uh, um, but let's go on to the who's right part of the podcast. We have Martinez. We talked about the pitcher. I mean the batter of the series. You picked Lindor. I picked Vientos. Both had decent not decent, but both contributed. But at the end of the day, Martinez had the better series overall. And then as far as the pitchers, you had Otto. All right. I had Peterson, didn't do much better, but we gave it up to Daniel Nunez. The crowd kind of solidified this for us. Giving them the standing ovation, um, and so we kind of I kind of agree. The crowd that Daniel Nunez was a pitching standout of the series, and and then on their squad, it was a surprise. You picked Bell, I picked Berger, but we had Tim Anderson go 2 for 4 each game.
Yeah.
That's right, Tim Anderson. That Tim Anderson went 2 for 4 each game,
Jose
which
Ramirez's son went 2 for 4 each game, raising his average above the Mendoza line. Still batting below a 500 OPS, which is atrocious. And I think this series, he got his like sixth and seventh RBI of the season, which is just like funny to say sometimes. From the player that he used to be to now is just it's a really sad turn of events. But maybe this was the series that he turns it back on and is the Anderson that we all knew in Chicago. But with Daniel Nunez, he worked his way back into a job. Well, not into a job because he was going to lose it, but we saw Danny Young, him outpitch Danny Young, and he was able to get back in there and really win the favor of not only the fans but Carlos Mendoza and David Stearns as well. And so we love to see his electric stuff. That fastball slider mix is something for the ages. He's got potential to be much more than what we've used him as. I think he has potential to be a high leverage reliever, and let's hope that he continues to develop into this great pitcher that he relief pitcher that he is. And as far as JDM, he just keeps on building up his stock. That's the one guy that you can get I can get behind in selling off in the trade deadline because he's a guy that we can easily replace. We have Yuki in the chat saying sell Sevi for prospects. That's not a guy, and I know that you would agree with Yuki, but that's not a guy that I feel like is so easily replaced, especially seeing how David Peterson and Tyler McGill was able to pitch. Were able to pitch in this past series, and so we love to see JDM getting his stock up. Same with Marte; he had a decent series as well, and Harrison Bader as well. These are all guys that have been able to get their stock up, and so it'll be an interesting month. But if you're like me and you're like Yuki, then we're thinking that this is the turnaround of the season, and so let's hope that we continue to be the Mets that we've known that they can be throughout the season.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm with Yuki. Sell Sevi for prospects. It's time for, I'm not too worried about, I think we got guys coming up like Christian Scott, Senga's going to be here. We got some other guys, Vassal and all those guys. And who knows what's going to happen next offseason. I would rather sell off a guy like Sevi for some prospects and maybe re-sign him in the offseason. Who knows? Those things happen. But at the end of the day, I don't know if I would give him a long-term contract, regardless of, but I say sell him off and let's keep it going. But you're right about Daniel Nunez. Him and Danny Young, I think we're fighting for that last spot, and that performance, 2 innings and a third, kind of solidified Nunez. And I do believe that with you that Danielle can be maybe our eighth inning guy in the future, right? Replacing Ottavino, leading into Diaz in the ninth, and that would be an awesome combination for the future. I do hope that he continues to develop. I'm very excited, because one of the things that if we do have Diaz back, it kind of like you said, it kind of lengthens the bullpen, right? We only have to worry about 7 and 8. Hopefully, if our guys give quality starts, right? If our guys give quality starts, we don't have to worry about 2 innings because we got Diaz in the ninth. And so, and that would, and that's why I'm saying 6 innings, give us that quality start, and the bullpen will look so much different if but not going six, just that one inning affects the bullpen, right? Because that's just one more inning that you add on to that bullpen. So we do need the guys to go at least six, and that bullpen, I think, is going to go back to looking like it was in the beginning of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's going to solve itself out. Reed Garrett's another guy that I think we've seen is able to pitch in those high leverage situations. And we're seeing, I think, the bullpen that we can create for this next year, and this is what we should really look at as Mets fans, is to create a bullpen for next year. And I got one that can be sustainable. Obviously, bullpens are volatile and pitchers don't pitch the same from year to year. But when you got guys that are stepping up and proven to be these high leverage guys, then I think that's a recipe for success and sustainable winning.
Yeah, no, for sure. For sure. So let's get to the Padres series. Let's start previewing the Padres series. Tomorrow, we're going to see Waldron against Sean Manaea. Um, then on Saturday, we're going to see Mazer versus Quintana. And on Sunday, to close us out, we're going to see Dylan Cease and Tyler McGill. A pretty good, Padres are coming in hot right now. Dylan Cease is pitching well, and I'm actually looking forward to that Sunday game because I do believe that McGill is going to rise to the challenge of facing Dylan Cease, and so I think that's going to be a good game on Sunday. And so, what do you think?
Yeah, we saw this with Tyler Glasnow, right? When uh, Tyler McGill was put up to the challenge against Tyler Glasnow, he was able to outpitch him, and I think that he can do that this time too. And so that's going to be an interesting game to watch. Obviously, Cease has been pitching pretty well, but not too great. I think that this is a Padres team that we can get on. Uh, we're not facing, their top pitchers. We're actually facing the bottom of their rotation these first two games, and then they get back to the top with Dylan Cease. And so we have to jump on this opportunity to tack on runs. Mazer and Waldron don't have the best stuff, and so let's see if that we can tack on these runs that JDM gave us momentum and carries us on to a series victory and hopefully a great homestand here, because that's something that we've desperately needed as a Mets team is a great homestand, and hopefully we can finish that off against the Padres.
Yeah, no, for sure. So let's get into our picks, and we got Yuki picking Manaya as the pitcher of the series. JDM as the hitter of the series, and they're very Yusui as the hitter of the series because I think you picked last time hitter of the series. I'm a go with Alvarez. I think he got his feet wet with this series, and I think he's gonna have a series that where he breaks out and comes back to Alvarez form.
Yeah, it's a good pick. Alvarez, I think, will be back. He got it off his feet. He's slowly working back into it, and we saw the excitement on his face, his character, going after every pitch, not giving up, and that's the exact player that we're going to get in Francisco Alvarez, which makes us excited for this future that he has on the Mets team. But I'm going to go with a guy that I think is going to thrive now that he's back in his spot, and the spot that he's comfortable with, and the spot that he's always known, and that's Pete Alonso. I think that he starts to break out. This is a contract year. He needs to start it now. He needs to work his way into getting that big contract, that record-changing contract that he wants. And so I think that he does it in this series, and this is his opportunity in these first two games, facing lower level pitching. And we could have said that about the Marlins, and maybe he should have jumped on the Marlins a little more. But I think being in that four hole is going to help him out.
Yeah, yeah, no, not. I hope you're right. Because again, I want to see Alonso do well. I'm just not seeing it. So, but I'm hope you're right because I want to see Alonso do well. He's one of our guys, and so we want him to do well. So, who's your pitching standout?
My pitching standout is going to be a guy that we talked about him before, and um, if the, I think we're going to need him this series, obviously, because we have Quintana and Manaya up the first 2 days, and so Adrian Hauser, he's going to carry us in one of these games, and he's been great out the bullpen. He's probably going to. I'm hoping that he can pitch us 4 innings in this series of solid ball and continue the magic that he's been able to have in that bullpen, and so hopefully um, he can carry it on in this series.
Wow, that's a complete 180 by your part. That I don't even know what to say. I don't even say. Beginning of the season, you wanted him off the team, and now you're picking Hauser as the Mets standout of a series. Um,
He's gonna make me look stupid, ain't he?
I
Probably
don't
will.
know, man. I don't know, but we'll see. I hope he does. I hope he pitches well. Ever since going into the bullpen, he's actually pitched very well, and so you love to see it. You love to see guys do well in the Mets uniform. So, but I kind of let mine out of the bag a little bit as we were previewing the series, and I believe that McGill's going to actually come up and rise to the challenge of pitching, like you kind of mentioned before. He rose when he played the Dodgers, and I think he's going to do it again against on Sunday against the Padres, and we're going to see a really quality start out of McGill on Sunday.
Yeah, yeah, no, I hope so. I think he's always that pitcher that gives you a good start, and then the next time he doesn't give you a great start, and then after that he gives you a great start. So he's due for a good start.
Yeah, so I'm hoping. I'm not hoping that's the case. I'm just hoping that he rises to the challenge and continues to keep going.
Yeah,
So, as far as the Mets killer, you can go quite a different places, but I'm gonna just go chalk and go with Fernando Tatis Jr.
he's been hot lately. That's not a bad take by you. I think that he has a great series himself, and that listen, this Padres lineup is lethal. They're the complete opposite of this Marlins team that we've just saw, and so it's going to be. It could be very much a shootout, high scoring games each and every game, and so I could definitely see that happening. But I'm going to go with his counterpart in saying that Jerickson Profar has been also pretty hot. He's been hitting really well. He's probably been the best player on their team as of recently, and so I think that he continues to hit hard and has a good series for himself.
Yeah, no, he's had a season. Before the season started, we were saying, is Tommy Pham going to go back to the Padres? And the Padres stuck with Profar, and he's paid off, right? He's he's having a great season, and and so they did good in not signing Fam and going with their guy. So he's having a good season, and I hope we're not sleeping. JDM has been the Mets standout for the last two series, and so. I hope that I think Matsui's pick, Yuki's pick, is solid there, just because why haven't we picked him last two series in a row? And it's crazy that we neither of us picked Martinez as a standout batter for the series.
Yeah, that's just like me. Yuki's calling me out and telling me I'm not doing my homework. And yeah, I didn't know that Profar is having an left knee problem. So I appreciate you pointing that out. And so he probably won't play much. I noticed that he didn't play yesterday, and so I didn't look into it any further and thought he would be back. And so maybe he's back. But I'm gonna still go with him. I can't change up my pick now just because uh, I didn't do my homework. So if I take an F, I take an F.
Hey, I already wrote it down.
Yeah, yeah. So you guys can laugh at me double this week if I get fooled by Pete, or triple if I get fooled by Pete, Hauser, and Profar, and so I could have myself an atrocious week.
Yeah. So we're making this a quick video. I know it doesn't seem quick, 45 minutes, but we're gonna get out of here. But before we get out of here, subscribe to the channel. Continue to leave us your comments, like the video, and Victor, any last words?
Oh no, man. Yeah, just excited for this Mets team to start playing again, to start playing well, and let's just carry this momentum. We're right there, within grasp of a playoff spot. I know that a lot of outsiders are wanting us to sell off all our pieces, but Mets fans and insiders. I'm sure insiders want the same thing, but Mets fans always want something to root for, and it's exciting when you have a team that is competitive. And so, let's go Mets! Come on.
Absolutely. Yeah. Until the next series, let's go Mets.